state regime media known as Fox is in total panic mode on live TV as Donald Trump continues to make things worse regarding his cover-up of Epstein and his dark past connections. Donald Trump in Scotland was like, I didn't have the privilege of being at the Epstein Island. And yeah, maybe we pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, it was some of the most despicable stuff. Let me show you what Fox was doing at the same time. You had this one Fox host say, look, why is the media focusing on Epstein? It's simple, Fox says. They're trying to cover up for Russia, and that former President Obama is committing treason. So they're bringing up Epstein to talk about that. No, y'all are making up some weirdo conspiracy about Obama when Donald Trump absolutely did interact with Russia, a bipartisan Senate commission. We all know, we heard Donald Trump say, Russia, if you're listening, hack into my opponent's emails back in 2016. And what are you talking about? It's 2025. It's just so obvious he's hiding the Epstein connections. Whatever's in that file is just going to be something else. But here's what they said on Fox. Let's play it.
All right, we also want to switch gears to this. So the media spent Trump's first term shredding their credibility by spreading the Russia hoax lie.
Russia interfered in the 2016 election. They're continuing to interfere.
Trump knowingly pushed Russian material the last month of the campaign, even after the Intelligence Committee warned him not to.
If there was quid pro quo between the Trump campaign and the Russian government, if there was, in fact, collusion or cooperation.
They now have specific, concrete, and corroborative evidence of collusion.
But instead of apologizing, they're running the same playbook on the Epstein hysteria, smearing Trump as somehow involved in his criminal activities despite the complete lack of evidence.
If they try and cooperate her based on a 2-day proffer by somebody in the Department of Justice who doesn't know the case, this could really reek of a cover-up.
He's doing it to distract from Epstein. He's throwing everything at the wall.
These guys have been hyping the whole Epstein conspiracy theory for years.
Their names, one of them, Donald Trump, that were hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein.
So it's no surprise that Americans' trust in the media is at its lowest point in 5 decades. A 2024 Gallup poll shows only 31% of Americans have a great deal or fair amount of trust in the media.
And here you have MAGA Republican former Congress member Chaffetz, who's now a host on Fox. And he says the same thing. He's like, I'm going to have to argue that what they're doing here is they're trying to distract from the big issues. They're using Epstein to distract from the big issues. Russia. Here, play this clip.
But Democrats have also joined in on actually voting in favor of doing things like issuing subpoenas and whatnot. That creates a whole nother problem for Republican leadership, because if they do a discharge petition or something else, you're going to have all the Democrats on board, and that creates a whole nother set of worms for Speaker Johnson. I can tell you, I'm just telling you this is, but I also do think I totally buy what Guy is saying. I would also argue that part of what they're trying to do is they are trying to distract from this big issue of President Obama's personal involvement in what was going on in targeting Donald Trump.
What? I mean, who are these people? Like, y'all realize we know what you're doing. Y'all just think we're stupid? Like, we're not all MAGA mush Fox watchers. Then you have Jesse Waters, one of Fox's top propagandists, and he's like, look, everybody, did you see Donald Trump golf? He's got dad strength. You know what dad strength is? He is a strong, powerful man. You see, it's like, okay, we saw him cheat, and he looks so cognitively addled right now that even USA Today's running with this. Trump's mental decline is on vivid display as he rages about Epstein and windmills. That's like a Meidas headline right there from USA Today. You're all catching on to our coverage. Watch what Jesse Waters says as he just humiliates himself and Fox, if that's even possible. Here, play this clip.
Iran, the border, government spending. So Trump is politically jacked. And that's what Swalwell doesn't understand. People respect you for doing things that are hard and lifting things that are heavy. Trump has real strength. Swalwell is trying to look strong, and that's the difference. Trump golfs. He has dad strength, though. You know dad strength? He doesn't look like he's in shape, but when he grabs you, one time my father grabbed me, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's stronger than I am.
Were you 8?
And I was like 18.
And then during the day, Fox brings on a MAGA Republican congressman. And then they're like, well, we really know about the Russiagate hoax. What do you mean the Russiagate hoax? What are you even talking about, Russiagate hoax? Donald Trump's out there. Even to this day, Donald Trump is appeasing Putin. Here, play this clip.
President Trump's CIA chief, John Ratcliffe, teasing this critical new evidence in the long-running Russiagate hoax. Rep. Stubbe, what can you tell us about that and what may be coming with more documents?
Oh, and then you have Mark Levin. That's how he talks. He goes, I'm Mark Levin. And then he goes and says, let me tell you what I've discovered here. Here's what we've all found out. Obama in 2016. Y'all, can you maybe come up with a better one than Obama in 20? I know you tried AutoPen. That didn't work. Now Obama in 2016. Just stop it. Here, play this clip.
Vice President Biden and I were also present, writes Susan Rice. President Obama began the conversation by stressing his continued commitment to ensuring that every aspect of this issue is handled by the intelligence and law enforcement communities by the book. They knew the Trump people were coming in. They didn't know if they were able to cover up enough of it. They knew at some point somebody would find out something. Tulsi Gabbard, in this case, 6 months later.
And then you have Mark Levin again. And he's like, let me give you I'm a lawyer. Let me give you my legal analysis right here. He goes, Obama should not get immunity. Okay, we've already moved past. You're definitely going to charge him with treason. And now he's not going to get immunity. What are you talking? He didn't commit any crimes. What are these crazy people talking about? These crazy fascists. Here, play this clip.
From prosecution for all his official acts, there is no immunity for unofficial acts. Wow. So that takes you to this issue of presumptive immunity. Because what Barack Obama what he did wasn't within his official acts. What he did was he moved from his official acts. And he asked the CIA and the others to do something that was corrupt, not part of his official act. Part of his official acts would be as if Obama ordered taking out a terrorist in Yemen, which he did. And it turns out that he takes out the terrorist, but also kills his 15-year-old son, who's a U.S. citizen. Obama can't be prosecuted for that. That's part of his official acts. That's fine. But when a president of the United States says, I need a new assessment, effectively telling the agencies and the rest, I need to get Trump. That's not within your official action. So what would happen in court if they brought some charges? You would have this presumptive immunity allegation, and then you would have to overcome the presumption.
And then they bring on MAGA Republican, I'm James Comer. I'm James Comer from Kentucky. I don't know, my James Comer impression used to be better. And James Comer's like, the big problem here in Congress, we can't have any substantive hearings because the behavior of the Democrats. Those Democrats are just behaving so poorly. Here, play this clip.
You have Democrats here on this committee, like AOC, like Jasmine Crockett. They, of course, downplay this and they say that it's political theater. Tell me what it's like to try to conduct an investigation like this when, they're trying to have these viral moments attacking Republicans in here. You guys are trying to do a real investigation that's highly important to the future of the country.
It's almost impossible to conduct an investigation in this committee room. What we're doing with this investigation is we're conducting depositions and transcribed interviews. Every transcript will be released at the conclusion of the investigation, but we can't have a substantive hearing in this room because of the behavior of the Democrats. My job is to get the facts. We conduct investigations here. We can't prosecute anyone. We can't arrest anyone. At the conclusion of the investigation, we issue a report, and we'll deliver that report to Pam Bondi, the Attorney General.
Hey everybody, Ben Meiselas here from the MeidasTouch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popak's new law firm. It's called the Popak Firm. Michael Popak's pursuing his dream of starting his own law firm, really based on the popular demand by all the Meidas Mighty and legal AFers who are approaching Michael Popak with their cases and saying, Can you help us? And at that time, Popok was not able to. So he went out on his own. He started the Popok firm, where he is now handling catastrophic injury cases like car accident cases, trucking cases, malpractice cases, big negligence cases, wrongful death cases. So if you or someone you know have a case like this, the consultation with Popok's firm is free. Give him a call. See if you have a case. It's thepopokfirm.com, thepopokfirm.com, or you can call 877-POPOK-AF, P-O-P-O-K-A-F. So 1-877-POPOK-AF. Give Michael Popok a call. And I'm really proud of you, Popok. Thanks for all the hard work you're putting in. Okay. And then going back to that Fox host I showed you at the outset, it was like, she's like, do you remember when Donald Trump visited the Federal Reserve building that they're building? And Donald Trump, he put the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, through a bit of a humiliation ritual. Here, play this clip.
Well, I do think what we saw was a public flogging a little bit with that visit to the Fed headquarters, a little bit of a, embarrassment ritual, if you will. And honestly, I think Jay Powell deserved it in the sense of, even if you look at the overspending on the headquarters renovations that they're doing, you don't need a terrace, rooftop gardens, a water features, a VIP elevators, premium marble. So I think President Trump is kind of trying to shame him into that. And then also potentially, even though he says he's not going to fire him, he sort of does set up a for cause, given the fact that he's now gone over $1 billion in these renovations of, if he wanted to go down that road. So I don't know if it was kind of like sending a message to Jay Powell, but we'll see what he does on interest rates. I don't know.
Yeah, always sending a message,
A humiliation ritual? What are you talking? Donald Trump looked ridiculous. He was wearing this hard hat, and then he was making up random numbers, and Jerome Powell was fact-checking Trump to his face. He wasn't giving a humiliation ritual to Jerome Powell. It was a humiliation ritual to this country. And you're giving us a humiliation ritual, Fox. What are you talking about? Why should you be bragging? Let's assume that Donald Trump did a humiliation ritual with the lead central banker of the United States. Why are you bragging about it? It makes us look like a crazy country. Oh yeah, the president owned the Federal Reserve chairman. Why do you think the dollar's off to its weakest start basically ever? Who wants to put their money here with this craziness taking place? But then you have MAGA Mike Johnson, and MAGA Mike Johnson's asked on Fox, hey, MAGA Mike, are you worried that if you engage in they didn't ask it like this, but I'll characterize it, what they're saying, in the unlawful gerrymandering in Texas, that California is going to do their own version of the gerrymandering, and New York will do their own version of the gerrymandering, and they'll get rid of the Republican seats. And MAGA Mike's just like, nah, they follow the law in those states. We don't have to follow the law in Texas. Listen to him in his own words. Here, play this clip.
Your life was so simple in the first term, much simpler in the first term, less responsibility. Real quick, are you for the redistricting that the president's pushing for in Texas and Ohio? Because in response, the Democrats say, we're going to do it to you in New York and California.
California has a problem. They've got to amend their state constitution, as I understand the law out there, to do it. Look, we have to fight for every inch of ground in the country. We're in an era of small margins, as you said, because of gerrymandering and redistricting, but they have to follow the law. I'm convinced the red states will, and we will probably have a few more seats out of that. And of course, that's good news for me.
Absolutely.
And then you had Howard Nutlick, Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary, bragging about the tariffs on Europe, which is a tax on Americans. Here, play this clip.
Why is it so great for America?
Well, remember, the European Union is $20 trillion economy, 450 million people. I mean, it is head and shoulders bigger than all the other Western civilizations. So the fact is the European Union is the monster deal. President Trump did that deal yesterday. We were all together in Scotland. We got the deal done. So here how it goes. The European Union is going to pay 15%, and they sell us $600 billion worth of goods. That's $90 billion for America. And they agreed for the first time ever to cut all their tariffs, cut their barriers, and let American businesses and farmers and ranchers and fishermen finally sell into the European Union. Massive market. This is huge for America.
So this 15% is on the difference, the $200 billion trade deficit. Is that right? Not the $2 trillion we trade with each other, right?
No, it's all exports to America. So basically everything they send us is going to pay 15%, except for a few little things, but most things will be 15%. One of the examples that we don't charge is on aircraft parts, so that Boeing, which is our greatest export, doesn't have to pay tariffs. But those are the ideas. So huge $600 billion of exports from Europe coming into America. They'll pay 15%. The $400 billion we send them, finally, zero. So you're going to see that grow and you're going to see that deficit shrink. And then they promise to pay $750 billion of energy purchases. Stop purchasing from adversaries. Start purchasing from the United States.
And then Jessica Tarlov, thank you, Jessica, just dunks in the face of Jesse Waters. Here, play this clip.
They said that he was a taco president, and it looked like the world chickened out. And I remember you said you can't win a trade war. No one wins a trade war. Well, we just did. Because now, what did we give up?
The right to have
I'm waiting for someone
European
to
goods.
give me an answer. We didn't give up anything with any of these negotiations with the Pacific Rim companies or the EU.
And here Jessica Tarlov is again, just breaking it all down. Here, play this clip.
Before this deal with the EU, we have to be clear that every trade war that we are engaging in, Donald Trump brought that one up himself, except for China. China is the one that you really have an issue with, but we essentially had favored nations with the EU paying about 1% import. So 15% is a lot more than 1%. And I rarely say that I wish somebody else would take my seat, at least for this segment, but I wish Charlie Gasparino was sitting here right now to explain to Jesse again how tariffs work, because it is a tax on the American consumer. The American consumer knows that. That's why they don't rate Trump particularly highly on how to handle inflation, cost of living, tariffs, and trade wars. And you also see headlines like Walmart raising prices up to 51%. They're doing that because they're not going to eat the tariff. They're going to pass it on to you. Volkswagen, profits down $1.5 billion. GM, profits down $1 billion. Why is that? Because of these trade wars that Donald Trump created. Now, there is this $20 billion in revenue that's coming in, right? I've seen the headlines. I've seen the PANICS backing off. But if it weren't going to be a clear line to raising your individual prices, why is Donald Trump, and Josh Hawley now wants to get in on it, talking about rebate checks for the American public? They want another opportunity for Donald Trump to smack his signature, which has been all over the place as we've seen recently,
not
on
with an
another
auto pen.
rebate, not with an auto pen, on rebate checks so that the American public won't hate him for the fact that he is raising their cost of living. And that is what is going on here.
And folks, as I'm sure you know as well, there was the tragic mass shooting taking the lives of many individuals in Manhattan yesterday evening. But according to MAGA Republican Senator John Kennedy, who has a fake accent, he goes, the real issue is that New York needs more stop and frisks. Did you see this guy's gun? It's a weapon of war. What is a stop and frisk going to do to this guy? Here, play this clip.
The other thing that frankly, New York's going to have to face is the issue of whether we should bring back more aggressive stop and frisk, which is a perfectly legal law enforcement tactic blessed by the Supreme Court that de Blasio got rid of. But the crime went up as soon as he did.
And then, of course, the MAGAs go right away. We don't need more gun control. We don't need more gun control. We need more idiot control. I don't know. Maybe stop giving the idiots guns. Play the clip.
On Capitol Hill, probably beginning in the morning, there'll be the inevitable call by some of my colleagues for more gun control laws. We've got hundreds of gun control laws, Sean, maybe thousands.
New York has a majority of them. I live there.
Yeah, we don't need more gun control. We need more idiot control. And I don't know exactly how to do that, but I do know this. I don't want to hear anyone feeling sorry for this guy who did this.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Fox making a fool of itself on live TV. protecting Donald Trump and the GOP guardians of the pedos. What else are they doing? Hit subscribe, help us get to 6 million. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.